we are a progressive city, a liberal city, a diverse city, a successful city. We've shown diversity is a strength, not a weakness. It makes us richer, not poorer. It makes us stronger, not weaker. And that's why I think people like President Trump, Vice President Vance, and other politicians and commentators hate us.
The Mayor of London, Sir Sadiq Khan, has said that he lives rent-free in the head of Donald Trump. The US president has previously called him disgusting and vicious, and said London crime is so bad that there are no-go areas in the city. All figures out today paint a different picture. The homicide rate in London is the lowest since records began, lower than New York in the US, and knife injury admissions to hospital are down 44%. We spoke earlier to the head of the Met Police, Sir Mark Rowley. We can now speak to his boss, the Mayor of London, Sir Sadiq Khan. Good morning.
Lovely to join you. Good morning.
Great to have you with us. So the murder rate in London, it's the lowest since records began. Great news, a big achievement, and two fingers to Donald Trump.
Well, that's not my starting point. I think one homicide is one homicide too many, and one death too many. One victim of violent crime is one victim too many. But there are politicians and commentators spamming our social media feeds with an endless stream of distortion and untruths, talking London down. And what these latest numbers show is progress we've made, which means dozens of fewer bereaved families, tens of thousands of fewer victims of crime, 1,000 more arrests a month, which shows not just in terms of us being the number one city in the world for tourism, for culture, for students, for foreign direct investment. We're also now one of the safest cities in the world when it comes to serious crime.
And I mean, I suppose the big question here is how has that been achieved and can it be replicated? Because I'm going to come on to talk about some of the other areas and people's perceptions of crime in London. But what's been the model here?
We've had a sustained focus over the last 9 years on a public health approach, which basically means being tough on crime, enforcement. We've doubled the investment from City Hall to the Met Police Service, and I'll explain what that's led to, but also tough on the complex causes of crime. We set up the country's first violence reduction unit, early intervention and prevention, provided more than 500,000 positive opportunities for young people, invested in youth workers, youth clubs, mentors, tackled exclusions and absenteeism. And so what that's meant is the police have got the support to disrupt serious organised criminal gangs, dismantle county and drug lines, have precision manhunts and so forth. But also, we've got youth workers inside police stations. That's led to an 80% reduction in young people reoffend within a year. We've got youth workers inside A&Es. That's led to a 3/4 reduction in harm. So rather than having, inverted commas, frequent flyers, we're breaking the cycle.
And all of those things will no doubt be very welcome. Welcome to people who visit, welcome to people who live here. But one of the things that we've had repeated back to us from our listeners this morning, almost all of them living and working in London, is that while they welcome the news on murder stats, they don't feel safe because of other things. It's things like graffiti on the tube, it's spitting in the street, it's drug use, mental health, rough sleeping, which is up significantly, people jumping tube barriers, illegal vape shops, even Greggs now has security guards. What are you doing to tackle that feeling, that perception, that even though London is technically safe, you're less likely to be murdered, there is a feeling that you are unsafe on your daily commute, in your daily life?
Oh, I get it. We've got to tackle not just crime, but the perception of crime by tackling crime. And all crime should be tackled. Let me be quite clear in relation to that. And we have seen, it's just a matter of fact, in the past, an increase in what we call high volume crime. It's serious. Having your phone stolen is so distressing. Your photographs are on there. Your phone numbers are on there. Your messages are on there. Having a nice watch stolen. It's this sense of unfairness where somebody gets away with not paying a fare. We're tackling those things as well. I'll give you a couple of examples of how we tackle them. So in the West End, we've doubled the number of neighbourhood police officers, and that's led to a big reduction in personal theft and personal robbery. We're also working with shopkeepers saying, listen, in the past you've rung the police, they've not responded. Please carry on ringing them because they will respond now. So we're using our own database of using facial recognition against, for example, the CCTV the shops have, and we're catching prolific shoplifters as well. When it comes to graffiti, you're spot on. It's so upsetting when you see a tube train that's been vandalised that way. Transport for London are taking action in terms of enforcement officers, but also cleaning the graffiti as well as soon as it's up there, because it leads to a sense of unkemptness and unniceness, which is why we're taking action there as well. So I'm not in any way belittling those experiences your listeners have. We've got to tackle those as well, and we are.
And so people lay that at your door, but I'm interested in something you've just said. You're talking about increasing arrests of shoplifters, but we know that when they get to the court system, very, very few ever end up being having any kind of punishment for it. I mean, most of them don't get any. It's the same for rape and sexual assault. The actual conviction rate is very poor. Are you being let down by the courts at the other end, the justice system?
So the Commissioner has, in the recent past, and I agree with him, commented on the concerns we have about the backlog when it comes to Crown Court and Magistrates' courts.
Is it making your job harder, though?
Oh, it is, but it's also the sense of unfairness from your listeners, because the police will arrest somebody because of great intelligence from members of the community, and they'll see that person not having their day in court. That leads to a sense of, well, they're getting away with it. But also the police who have worked incredibly hard to arrest the culprit feel really frustrated. And so we've got to address this issue in the criminal justice system from the police. And, we're doing great work there in enforcement. We're doing great work with youth workers and mentors in prevention and intervention. What about the CPS? What about the courts? What about the prison system? What about the probation system? It's got to be a joined up approach.
Is part of the problem here a sense of entitlement? And it's something we've been talking about on the programme today, social media, young people on social media. The thing that we keep getting reflected back is this idea that people feel entitled to jump the barriers at the tube. They don't seem to realise there's a problem someone else is going to have to pay for. Would it help, in your view, to ban social media for under 16s?
I'm not there yet. I want to see what happens in Australia in relation to, one of the advantages of Australia going first is we can learn the lessons, good and bad, from what happens in Australia. As a parent, I can tell you it was incredibly difficult when my kids were teenagers, controlling their social media. They're more tech savvy than I am. And so there are challenges here. In the meantime, the good news is we've got a regulator. We've got Ofcom, who have been given the powers by Parliament to take action. And so we've got to, say to Ofcom, what are you doing to take action against the social media companies? But we also know, you and I both have seen clips on social media where you see a snapshot of an incident and we think that's the complete picture. And what we've got to try and do is, as citizens, is realise we're citizens. We've got responsibilities as well. We aren't just consumers who take one way the stuff we see. But I think it's important to recognise the power of social media, the good it's done as well.
So you're not there yet. You may well get there. I mean, there's been a lot of incoming fire towards you from Donald Trump, from Elon Musk, from Nigel Farage, from others. First, before we get on to how you feel about that, I just want to check, are you going to be standing against Leila Cunningham, who is the Reform candidate? Are you going to run again?
Listen, the last election I fought is nearer than the next one I may fight. Let's wait and see. Ask me again in a year's time.
Let's wait and see. That's interesting. So you've not decided yet?
No, at this stage in the cycle, I never decided. Also, I think it's an indulgence. Focused on my personal ambition rather than the ambition of this city. I'm focused on the city.
What do you make of the claims then that Donald Trump and others have made that you're only mayor because of immigration? That's what they say. And, Leila Cunningham is clearly making this idea of race and integration her battleground. She says she'd ban burqas. Is that something you would consider?
Well, so in relation to burqas, the burqa, or the niqab, or the hijab, listen, I think as a man, it's just wrong for me to tell women what to wear and what not to wear. I think it's a choice for individual women to make in relation to what they wear. I wouldn't dream of telling women what to wear. I think they should have the freedom to choose what to wear. In relation to social media, we have seen the consequences of a lack of regulation. We have seen the consequences of a lack of guardrails in the ease with which you can spread distortions and untruths. What happens, Kate, is people who haven't experienced London, who have never met a Muslim, who don't mix for good reasons because they live in different parts of the country with ethnic minorities, start believing that's the true interpretation of Islam. They start believing that's what Muslims are about. And so one of the interesting things about when you go to diverse cities is actually we get on really well because we actually do mix and mingle with Jewish people, with Hindu people, with Muslims, with Christians and so forth. So there's far better integration and social cohesion when there is integration. And that's my concern about social media. With the lack of regulation, there aren't the checks and balances that, for example, you have, that the papers have, the mainstream media has, and that is a source of concern.
Sorry, I'm just interested, Donald Trump feels able to comment on things that you do and this city. I wonder if we should give you the opportunity to do the reverse with him. You are in charge of policing in a busy city. You'll have seen what happened in Minneapolis with the ICE agents shooting the female protester. there. Donald Trump said it was a legitimate act effectively. J.D. Vance said it was a legitimate act effectively. What did it look like to you? He likes to comment on what happens in your city. I wonder if you might want to comment on what happens in a city in America.
Oh, well, listen, thanks for the opportunity to respond. But I'm really keen not to have a sort of tit for tat in relation to what we did when we were kids, in relation to London versus America. In terms of one of the reasons why, you very kindly asked me on today, in terms of homicide and murders, I'm really happy to compare London to any state in the USA. I mean, we are 2.5 times safer than New York, 5 times safer than Los Angeles, 12 times safer than Chicago and Houston and Philadelphia, and by the way, Minnesota, Minneapolis. And it's important actually to rebut the untruths and distortions with facts. In relation to what we've seen in Minnesota, Minneapolis, it is distressing clearly to see what's happened. Let's wait and see where the investigation goes in relation to that. But objectively speaking, when it comes to London versus any city or any state in the USA, we are far, far, far safer. And so my analysis is, we are a progressive city, a liberal city, a diverse city, a successful city. We've shown diversity is a strength, not a weakness. It makes us richer, not poorer. It makes us stronger, not weaker. And that's why I think people like President Trump, Vice President Vance, and other politicians and commentators hate us.
Can I ask you just finally, before you go, would you feel safe in America?
Listen, my experience of America tells me I would feel safe in America for the simple reason. All the times I've been there, I felt safe. I think, my response, if I was somebody who had been naturalized, my response if I was somebody who wasn't born in America but was an American may be different. I've got members of my family who are proud Americans. They're also proudly Muslim and proudly of Pakistani heritage. But I know of people in America who are proud Americans who are a bit nervous, who are a bit worried about having the tap on the shoulder, or even worse, from a nice officer. And that's not an environment that's pleasant. It's not a place where you get a sense of belonging. One of the joys about a city like London or Manchester or Birmingham, and we can name other great cities across our country, is that sense of belonging. You can be whatever colour skin, whatever colour the flag of your country of origin, hopefully whatever gender and sex, and feel reasonably safe and have that sense of belonging.
It would be great to get you back on again to talk about integration, I think, in a little bit more detail, because it's a very hopeful point, but it might not necessarily be the reflection of how everybody feels in London right now. But it's been great to have you on this morning. We appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Have a great day. Thank you very much for having me.
That is the Mayor of London, Sir Sadiq Khan.